What happens when a country music superstar sits down for what should be a routine interview only to find himself in the middle of a verbal battlefield that spirals out of control? Blake Shelton thought he was coming onto The View to talk about his latest album and maybe share some lighthearted stories from his time on The Voice. Instead, he found himself locked in a confrontation with Joy Behar that left the studio audience stunned, the other hosts scrambling for damage control, and ultimately resulted in one of the most dramatic walk-offs in daytime television history. Blake walked onto the set that morning with his trademark easy smile and relaxed demeanor. He had done this routine countless times, promoting albums, tours, and projects across dozens of talk shows. Settling into his chair, he exchanged pleasantries with Whoopi Goldberg, Sarah Haynes, and the other co-hosts as the cameras rolled. Everything seemed normal as Whoopi kicked things off. "Blake, thanks for being here. Your new album has been getting incredible reviews. Fans are loving the direction you've taken with this project." "Thank you, Whoopi," Blake said, leaning back comfortably. His Oklahoma drawl gave warmth to his words. "I'm proud of this one. We took some risks, tried new sounds, but kept that authentic country heart my fans expect. It's been a fun journey." The conversation flowed smoothly. They talked about his musical evolution, his experiences coaching, and his life in Oklahoma. Blake was in his element, cracking jokes and sharing stories that had the audience laughing. For 15 minutes, the interview was exactly what everyone expected: light, entertaining, promotional. Then Joy Behar shifted the tone. "Blake, I have to ask," she began, her voice carrying a sharper edge. "You've been pretty vocal about your political views. Living in Oklahoma, being part of the country music community, I imagine you have strong opinions about what's happening in this country right now." Blake's smile faltered, but he kept his composure. "Well, Joy, I try to keep my music and politics separate. People come to my shows to have a good time, forget about that stuff. I respect that my fans have different viewpoints." "Surely you have opinions," Joy pressed, leaning forward. "We're living in turbulent times: climate change, social justice, inequality. These aren't just political talking points. They're real problems." The tension in the studio was sudden and sharp. Blake shifted uncomfortably, glancing toward Whoopi, who seemed ready to intervene. The audience grew quiet. Sarah Haynes looked uneasy. "Look, Joy," Blake said carefully, "everyone's entitled to their opinions. I've got mine, you've got yours. But I came here to talk about music, not politics." "But isn't that part of the problem?" Joy shot back. "People with platforms staying silent when they could be making a difference. Don't you think you have a responsibility to speak out?" Blake's jaw tightened. "My responsibility is to my music and fans. I make music that makes people feel good, that brings them together. I don't need to lecture anybody about politics." "That's a privileged position," Joy countered. "When you're a wealthy white man living in a red state, it's easy to say you want to stay out of politics. But what about the people who can't?" The other hosts tried to intervene. Whoopi raised her hand, urging calm. But Blake's easygoing demeanor was cracking. "Hold on, Joy. You don't know anything about my life or where I come from. You sit here making assumptions about people you've never met, talking down to folks like you're better than them." "I'm not talking down to anyone," Joy fired back. "I'm trying to have a real conversation about real issues instead of just promoting your album." "This isn't a conversation," Blake snapped. "This is you trying to trap me into saying something you can use against me. You invited me here under false pretenses." The studio audience sat in silence, riveted. Camera operators scrambled to capture every angle of the clash. Joy leaned back with a smirk. "If you can't handle a few tough questions, maybe you should stick to singing about trucks and beer." The comment landed like a slap. Blake's eyes flashed with anger. He took a deep breath, speaking with controlled fury. "You just showed exactly who you are. Country music is about real people living real lives, hardworking folks who love their families, who serve their communities. But you wouldn't understand that, would you? You're too busy in your ivory tower judging everyone else." "Oh, please," Joy scoffed. "You're worth millions. You live in a mansion. You're not salt of the earth any more than I am." "The difference is I remember where I came from," Blake retorted. "I don't pretend to be something I'm not, and I don't look down on the people who made me who I am." Blake here is the perfect example of what's wrong with celebrity culture, Joy insisted. Stars who think they can stay above the fray while the world burns? Blake laughed bitterly. Celebrity culture? Joy, you're on TV every day telling people what to think. How is that not celebrity culture? Because I'm not afraid to take a stand, she shot back. You say what your audience already agrees with, Blake countered. That's not brave. Courage is trying to bring people together instead of dividing them. Sarah Haynes tried to interject, but Joy wasn't interested in compromise. Some things are right and wrong, and staying silent in the face of injustice isn't bringing people together, it's enabling it. Who made you the judge of what's right and wrong? Blake asked, his voice rising. I speak for people who don't have a voice, Joy said. People like me? Blake's voice was dangerously quiet. I mean people with platforms who won't use them, Joy clarified. You don't know what I support or what I do, Blake shot back. You just pass judgment. Then tell us, Joy challenged. I don't owe you an explanation of my private life, Blake said. This is about you trying to force me into a political box. The other hosts shifted uncomfortably. The tension was unbearable. I'm holding you accountable, Joy said. Accountable for what? Blake demanded. For making music? For entertaining people? When did that become a crime? It's not a crime. It's a choice, and choices have consequences. That was the breaking point. Blake stood abruptly, his chair scraping across the floor. You know what, Joy? I've had enough. I came here to talk about music, share some laughs. Instead, you turned this into a political inquisition. Blake, please sit down, Whoopi pleaded, but he was already unhooking his mic. This is exactly what's wrong with everything. You can't just have a conversation anymore. Everything has to be a fight. Some things are worth fighting for, Joy insisted. You know what's worth fighting for? Respect, decency, treating people like human beings instead of political props. You invited me as a guest and spent the last 20 minutes trying to tear me down. I've been trying to have a real conversation, Joy shot back. I care about more than selling records? You think my life's work is just shallow commercialism? Blake's face flushed with anger. You have no idea what you're talking about. Then enlighten me, Joy challenged. Instead, Blake turned and walked away. That's right, Blake, Joy called after him. Just walk away. That's what people like you always do. Blake froze, then slowly turned back. His face was a mask of fury. What did you just say? You're running away, Joy repeated. Blake returned to the table, his steps deliberate. You think I'm afraid of difficult conversations? I've dealt with more adversity than you can imagine. Then why won't you have this one? Because it's not your place to demand it, Blake said. You're not my conscience. Someone has to hold people accountable, Joy shot back. Accountable to who? To you? Blake's voice was sharp. What about accountability to my fans, the people who actually know me? Your fans deserve better than platitudes, Joy said. And who decides what's right? You, the media? Blake shot back. Maybe people can figure it out for themselves. That's naive, Joy said. Celebrities influence people whether they want to or not. The message I send is that music can bring people together, Blake replied. That's a luxury you can afford. What about those who can't? You keep saying that like you know something about my life, Blake snapped. You don't know anything. You judge from your studio. I'm judging your actions, or lack of them, Joy countered. You think making music that brings joy isn't action? Entertaining families, giving people something to smile about? That's worthless? It's not enough, Joy said bluntly. Not enough? Blake shouted. Who made you the authority on what's enough? We all make choices, Joy replied. You choose silence. That has consequences. You're right, Blake said suddenly, his voice calm. Choices have consequences, and my choice is not to waste another second listening to someone with no respect for me. He started toward the edge of the set. Joy called after him. That's it, Blake, walk away. Show your fans who you really are. Blake paused. Without turning, he spoke. I hope your viewers see who you really are, too, someone who invites a guest on, then spends the entire time tearing them down. At least I'm not afraid to stand for something, Joy retorted. Blake turned one last time, his face hard with anger and disappointment. I stand for music. I stand for bringing people together. I stand for respect, even when it's not deserved. And right now, I stand for having enough self-respect to walk away." With that, Blake Shelton strode off the set, leaving behind a stunned audience, a frantic crew, and a panel of shaken hosts. Joy sat back with arms crossed, looking defiant but clearly rattled. Whoopi tried to recover. Well, that was certainly unexpected. "We'll take a quick break," but everyone knew they had just witnessed something unprecedented. The tension lingered, the audience buzzing with whispers. And somewhere backstage, Blake was likely wondering how a simple album promotion had turned into one of the most explosive moments of his career. What began as a routine interview had become a vivid example of how quickly civil discourse can collapse when neither side is willing to back down. The confrontation revealed the deeper divide between those who believe public figures are obligated to use their platforms for activism and those who believe they have the right to choose when and how to engage. Neither side conceded. Neither found common ground. What remained was a spectacular clash that left everyone bruised and the viewers captivated. So, was Joy right to push Blake to take a stand? Or was Blake justified in walking away from what he saw as an ambush? Drop your thoughts in the comments and make sure to subscribe for more unforgettable celebrity moments.